adventurers, travelers, and friends, and welcome back to a Bragworthy Adventures video. Today we are at Magic Kingdom. I am back at Walt Disney World, and I am here to tell you a little bit about how social distancing is going in the park. I was here in July, just days after they reopened the parks after the COVID closures, and now it is October, months later. Have they kept things up? How are things going? People have mentioned the parks being more crowded. People have mentioned things being a little more difficult. I want to see what it's really like, and I want to give you the real scoop. So if you like videos about Disney, if you like videos that give you information to create realistic expectations for your travel, go ahead and subscribe. And I hope you guys are interested in getting the deep dive into what social distancing is like at Disney now. So I'm going to compare what Disney was like in July to October. First of all, some of the similarities. So obviously they're still keeping cars parked one space apart to keep people from getting out right next to someone and giving the space needed. They're also keeping trash can lids open. One difference is there's more signage on the trash cans than I noticed originally. They also are still having plenty of hand sanitizers everywhere you look. And when I say everywhere, these hand sanitizer stations really are everywhere, including after you've been captured by the dark side. They care enough about your health and safety on the dark side to provide ample hand sanitizer there as well. Along with these hand sanitizers, they have hand washing stations, which were kind of new. Not new are the relaxation stations, which is just a great place to get your mask off for a little bit and feel safe. The characters are still there and far away. You can't really get close up to get pictures, but you can still interact and get photos from afar. Even in some specialty restaurants like Hollywood and Vine, the characters come somewhat near your table but not close enough to really be next to them, and you can get selfies while seated at your own table. A couple of more similarities before we jump into the big differences. Vendor stalls are not all open, just like in July. Also, areas of touch and play while you're waiting to get on a ride are still roped off and not in use, with signage letting you know that they are not safe. They're still using lines on the ground, and the check-in process to get into the parks was just the same as before. Now here is where we go into the big differences that I noticed in October that I didn't really see in July, and the major one has got to be the crowds. I'm not sure if there are more people because capacity has changed, or if more people feel comfortable coming and the capacity was always the same, people just weren't taking use of it. Now, because there's larger crowds, I noticed way more signs posted everywhere, and getting across the park was not as easy as it once was. Also, the largest thing affected by this is rides. With more people in the parks, ride times have increased, and it's hard to tell how long the lines really are since you have to be 6 feet across throughout the whole ride. So my mom and I decided to see if Jungle Cruise really was going to be a 25-minute wait, or if it was going to be faster, as some people predicted. We noticed while we were waiting in line that they were cleaning the boats, which probably was part of the time increase. But overall, the listed wait times were accurate. So it seems like after 26 minutes, we're getting on.
26 minutes, not bad.
Yeah, that's almost right on.
Means we're clear to go. Take favorite hand away to the door.
Wait times are accurate, but they're also so much longer. On Buzz Lightyear in July, I got on that ride twice in a row, no line, straight walk on, and I did have to wait this October. Also, for some of the brand new lines, it was so over capacity that they didn't have anywhere else to put people. So like for Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway train ride, they stopped allowing people to get in line. So be strategic when you get into a park. Head to the furthest regions so that you can get those quick ride times. For instance, we head straight back to Millennium Falcon, and there was not a long line, although I did notice, weirdly enough, they had the 6 feet across stripes at one part, but not at the beginning of where you get in line. I wonder if this was because the short line time meant we were going in the Fast Pass line? Not sure, but that was a little concerning to me that there wasn't a line everywhere. Now, things are pretty much the same when it comes to how they're filling up the rides. So they're keeping people further away. There's less parties in the boats or the cars or the trains. I did notice they still had plexiglass in some areas, and in others they didn't. I know I didn't go to Animal Kingdom in July, but when I went in October, they really kind of pack you into the safari ride. The only thing in between you is this sort of hanging sheet of plastic, clear plastic. Not sure if I felt the safest with that ride, but a majority of the rides in Animal Kingdom were a little further spaced. Also, while we're talking about concerns, Midway Mania, a ride where you're heavily touching the ride itself to play the games, they didn't clean it after every single person. Although, as we obviously saw with Jungle Cruise, they do spray down the rides, and sometimes this does make lines take longer, but it's worth it for the cleanliness and safety. One of the things I didn't think was worth it is on Rise of the Resistance, one of the biggest, newest, best rides at the parks. They placed the markers for where parties could stand in places where they could hardly see a lot of the actual ride. For instance, I was stepping outside my dot in order to see the captain here. If I was on my dot, I would have seen nothing. Also, one of the things that Disney hasn't really quite figured out is how to handle crowds after an event, after the parks are closed, after a ride. It seems like these are the moments when people get real close. At the beginning, they've got the line stripes, they've got things in place to keep people apart, but afterwards it's a free-for-all. And I mentioned this in July, not much has changed, but because the crowds are larger, it is almost more overwhelming too. You can't really keep yourself away from people when we're all moving in a mass horde. I'm not really sure exactly what they could do about that, but it is something to be aware of. I do think Disney has noticed this though. As I've said earlier, there's lots of signage throughout the park, like on those trash cans and even through walkways, to remind people to wear their face coverings and to stay 6 feet apart. So I think they are trying, but it's definitely difficult in those moments to really keep the social distancing. Another interesting thing I noticed was a lot of the paper items we used to be able to retrieve and use are being replaced with phone items, including menus, the bird spotting guide, and they are heavily pushing mobile orders, specifically with time slots that you have to select for when you will come back to get your treats. I think they're using this to keep less people in the restaurants as possible, but it's definitely something to be aware of. If you want a sweet treat, plan ahead and see if the place you're going to is now mobile ordering. So there you have it. 3 amazing parks, 1 weekend, and a girl who's ready to go home. I've definitely seen some big changes in the way that social distancing is handled, how many people are at the parks, how Disney is constantly reevaluating their social distancing situation as more people feel comfortable coming to the parks. You have to judge for yourself, your own comfort level, your own interest, and whether or not going to Disney right now is right for you. But I always have a magical time. Hopefully 2021 is a little better. Am I right? Thanks so much for watching. And as always, bye travelers.